really well before he got hurt, and he had a tough time coming back. And he's just getting back into his rhythm, and lately he's felt pretty good, and he's looked real good. Roger got some shots up tonight, got to make some more shots. He's been a little bit of a slump that way, and this will help him a lot. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's good to let the players do some of the coaching. It makes them think a little bit and really gives them confidence in what we're doing as a group.
How did you help him?
He didn't really drop a play. What he was showing Cedric Jackson about the defensive error that was made on a double team of the post. So he was explaining that to the group and to Cedric. After that, well, he does get the credit because after that he said, "Bob, what player do you want?" I said, "I don't know, whatever you want." So they ran whatever he wanted. So he still gets credit for that. But the timeout was to the defense. Do you have any questions on that? Come on, think of one. Anyway.
How are you going to argue the playoffs?
Oh, that's a great question. That's the best question any of these people have ever asked. In the last month, it's the best question I've had. We're getting ready for the playoffs by trying to be the best team we can. We're continuing to figure out who we want on the court and try to get everybody used to the system so that we're as consistent as possible.
Tony Parker chatting up with former Spurs Drew Gooden. Now, what's going to go on now? This is like the ninth. Does Washington count first quarter? A little give and go between Tim Duncan and Richard Jefferson, and RJ picks up where he left off from last night with the thank you very much. Later in the first, DeJuan Blair with the steal. Up ahead to George Thrill Hill. Hill will dish to RJ with another dunk. 1 of 8 first quarter dimes for Thrill. 4 seconds left in the first. Check out Manu Ginobili. Driving, loses it, gets it back, hits the acrobatic shot. Oh, man! Worth another look. Only Manu Ginobili can do this stuff. That's why he's worth the ticket to go see. Spurs up 14 after 1. Second frame, Manu with the steal. He'll lead it to Malik Harrison, and Harrison will sit it down. Everybody having fun tonight. Defense leading to offense. Later in the second, Hill with the ball, and he takes the former Spur to school. Check out these moves. Worth another look. Thrill making Gooden look ill. And the Spurs are up 17 at the break. Third quarter now. Manu to Hill to Antonio McDyess. Back to Manu. Tic-tac-toe. Bingo. Spurs putting on an absolute clinic tonight. Then, how about a little more Manu? He'll find the big bear and get him into the act. Blair with Blair. Nice speed for the dunk there. And you knew it's your night when every shot goes in like this one. Matt Bonner, just like he tried it. And after the game, he won the horse contest for the Clippers as well. And the Bonner fan club's going crazy. Fourth quarter now, more Bonner time. He hits the three. It's blowout city, baby. Spurs, second whooping in as many days. They win their 7th in the last 8, while the Clippers lose their 14th in the last 17. It's a 30-point run. How about that one? 6 different Spurs in double figures. They shot 59% from the floor. George Hill, a career high, 11 assists. Harrison with a career high, 12 points. Let's bring back in my tag team partners, Andrew Monaco and Richard Oliver of the San Antonio Express News. Guys, I think you two could give the Clippers a game. I'm just saying. What do you think?
Give them a game, I think we could beat them. I don't know. The way they played tonight. Remember Sean said, hey Rick, remember Sean said last night that this was a Clipper team that was going to play the 4th game in 5 nights, and they were looking forward to get to L.A. I guess it was just a stopover. The Spurs did exactly what they were supposed to do and just eliminate the Clippers early.
You know, this game was kind of like one of those NFL preseason games. When it's over, you say, whew, everybody's healthy. Let's just move along because, you know, it looked like a scrimmage in part. And one significant statistic, and we were laughing about it during the game, was the Spurs had a 21-point lead in the second quarter, Andrew, without going to the free throw line. They were getting to the basket without being touched. There was no fouls, no whistles, no nothing. And, you know, those are the kind of games when you knew by the midway through the second quarter, this was going to be a walkover.
Well, George Hill, he was near his career high for assists. He had 8 of them in the first quarter alone. He does get a career high with 11 assists in this one. And I know I'm like a broken record with you, but 32 assists on 51 field goals. When this team shares the ball, they're so dangerous.
They really are. And, you know, fast break points, you know, that you talk about sharing the ball, you talk about running up and down the court. The Spurs as Sean always says, had all they could eat tonight, and the buffet was open. And the Spurs did that tonight, and they played so well. And that's why it's great games like this, because, Andrew, you get just enough contested on defense to where you can work on your shot with somebody in your face a little bit. Yeah. The Spurs did that tonight. You saw a lot of guys get well tonight. Matt Bonner continued his streak. A couple of circus shots to Juan Blair, but then kind of having some interesting performances. He had another great night. Roger Mason tonight, I think, broke out of it a little bit, hit the three-pointer, kind of slapped his head on the way down, like, where has that been over the last 3 games? You know, so you look at those kind of things. You look at what the Spurs were able to do tonight, and 36 fast break points tonight. That's a season high. Last night they had 24. Spurs are playing up-tempo basketball, and now 7 of 8 games shooting 45% or better. Tonight they lit it up for 59%.
Jamie, look at Roger Mason Jr. video. Yeah, he was slapping the hip and slapping his head, and I think signed from relief tonight.
You know, and that's a guy, and we've talked about intangibles, and, you know, when you talk about the Spurs team, everybody's going to have to contribute. You know, we're going down this tough stretch next week. The schedule gets extremely tough with the Spurs, insanely tough. Yeah. But you know what? They're shooting the basketball well. They've ratcheted up the defense, which you've talked about time and again. The assists are there. They're not turning the ball over. So, you know, going into that schedule right now, because of these last couple of games, the Spurs at least are positioned. They're playing good basketball. They did what they had to do against weak teams, and now they play the tough teams. Let's see if it takes. Let's see what the Spurs are able to do next week.
Well, the starters got to sit, the bench got to play, coming off that bench and looking like he is just flat out back to where he was before is Matt Bonner.
And I loved your interview with him after the game, the little over the backboard shot. Yeah, I meant to hit that.
Well, that's the way I asked it. Did you mean to hit that? Well, I always mean to hit the shot. Yeah, okay. But I said, if you're going to ask that question of anybody, thank goodness it was.
You know, and what was really cool about that, and Matt hits that shot, Juan Blair hits a shot similar to that, and a couple of seconds later, you know, the Spurs were loose tonight. They were happy. They were out there on the court. They're laughing. Of course, they're playing a team that really wasn't giving them a whole lot of competition. But how many times have we talked about that over the last couple of weeks? The Spurs are playing confident basketball, but they're also loose. Yeah. I think they know, okay, we're kind of in the rhythm we need to be in.
Not only that, is it also the case of trading deadline is gone, whatever reasons were out there. Now, this is the group that's going to take us through the regular season and into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's the group, and the one thing when you talk about that, the iffy factor with Tony Parker and what's happening, that kind of, you know, so this is the group going into the playoffs. I think most people feel like Tony Parker won't be a significant player in the first round of the playoffs. Right. It'll be a surprise if he is, and that takes us to George Hill and how great he's been playing. 8 assists in the first quarter, 11 assists in the game, didn't have to play a whole lot of minutes, but he is playing such terrific basketball that the loss of Parker, although it's significant, you can't deny it, George Hill is playing great basketball right now, and you got to feel real happy about where the Spurs are. That just seem to be in total control. As Richard was mentioning,